People often talk about talent as if it's the ultimate gift, the one thing that decides who succeeds and who fades away. We admire prodigies, overnight successes, and those who seem naturally gifted, but tucked away beyond the noise of fast wins and viral fame. There's a quieter truth that doesn't trend very well. It lives in routine mornings, in tired hands that show up anyway, and in lives built slowly, one ordinary day at a time. This truth was taught to me not in a classroom or a book, but in a dusty field by an old farmer who never claimed to be special. Only consistent, the farmer lived just outside a small town, on land that had been in his family for generations. His house was modest, his clothes were simple, and his movements were slow but deliberate. Every morning before most people were awake, he walked the same path to his fields. Rain or shine, good days or bad. He was there. People sometimes asked why he worked so hard when others with more resources and modern equipment seemed to get ahead faster. He would smile, wipe his hands on his jeans, and say nothing at first, as if the answer required patience too. One afternoon, as I watched him mend a broken fence, I finally asked what he believed mattered most in life. He paused, leaned on the wooden post, and looked out over the land. His eyes weren't sharp like they once were, but they held something deeper than skill, experience. He said talent is helpful, sure, but talent is like good weather. You can't rely on it. Some days it shows up, some days it doesn't. Consistency, he explained, is like the seasons. It always comes back, and if you plan your life around it, you'll never go hungry. He told me about neighbors who were far more talented than he ever was. Some had stronger bodies, sharper minds, and better ideas. They started fast and burned bright, but many disappeared when things got hard or boring. The farmer, on the other hand, never rushed. He planted when it was time to plant, watered when it was time to water, and waited when it was time to wait. He didn't expect immediate rewards. He trusted the process because he had followed it for decades. Year after year his fields produced, not because he was exceptional, but because he was reliable. The farmer said something that stayed with me. Most people quit right before things start working. He explained that progress is often invisible for a long time. Seeds don't announce when they begin to grow. Roots strengthen underground where no one is watching. In today's world, people want proof before they commit effort. But nature doesn't work that way. You show up first, you work first. The results come later. Consistency, he believed, was an act of faith, faith that small efforts, repeated daily, eventually become something meaningful. He admitted there were many days he didn't feel motivated. Days when his body ached, when storms destroyed his crops, when nothing seemed worth the effort. But he never waited to feel inspired. He worked because it was time to work. Feelings come and go, he said, but habits stay. That was his secret. He didn't rely on passion to carry him through life. He relied on discipline, routine, and a promise he made to himself long ago to keep going, no matter how ordinary the day felt. Over the years, his consistency shaped more than his land. It shaped his character. He became patient, grounded and calm in a world that rushed past him. While others chased shortcuts, he trusted slow growth. While others compared themselves endlessly, he focused on his own row of crops. His life wasn't flashy, but it was full. He had food on the table, respect in the community, and peace in his heart. Talent might impress people for a moment, but consistency, he showed, builds a life you can stand on. What struck me most was how transferable his lesson was. Farming was just the setting. The message applied everywhere, to careers, relationships, health, and dreams. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room if you're willing to keep learning. You don't need perfect circumstances if you're willing to keep showing up. Small actions done consistently compound over time in ways talent alone never can. The farmer never used big words, but his life was a living example of this truth. As years passed, I realized how rare that mindset had become. We celebrate speed, not stamina. We praise brilliance, not endurance. But life is long, and success is rarely decided in a single moment. It's decided in the quiet repetition of effort, in choosing to continue when no one is clapping. The farmer didn't win awards or go viral, but his work fed families and stood the test of time. That kind of success doesn't fade when talent runs out. Now, whenever I feel discouraged or tempted to quit because I'm not naturally good enough, I think of that old farmer. I remember his steady hands, his quiet confidence, and his belief that showing up matters more than shining once. Consistency doesn't ask you to be extraordinary. It only asks you to be faithful to the work. And over time, that faith builds something stronger than talent ever could, a life rooted deep enough to weather any storm.